Starting a video is always so difficult. It always gets easier after a couple of minutes, but starting, I hate it. It feels like the first time all over again every single time. Hey guys, it's ClaRe, and I'm back with my podcast episode number 7, I want to say. So if you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is ClaRe. I like to knit, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. If you've been here before, you might notice that we have something new. I have a mic now. I know you're technically not supposed to hold these like this, but it makes me feel like a reporter, and that's fun. So I'm gonna keep doing this. I also don't have anywhere to put this on my clothes, so this is what I'll be doing. Um, you might also notice that my voice is different. I'm still a little bit sick, but I really wanted to film this podcast episode because I haven't uploaded one of these in a very long time and I have a lot to talk about. So I decided to just go ahead and film it anyway. So you'll have to deal with this raspy voice. I'm sorry. As I just mentioned, I have a lot to talk about. So grab a cup of tea. Oh my god, this is scalding hot. Grab a cup of tea and let's jump right in. I have 3 finished objects to share with you. The first one is what I'm wearing, and it's the Heartless top by Miscellaneous. This is a I'll take off my jacket 1 second. This is the Heartless top by Miscellaneous. It's a pretty cropped. I'm too lazy to get up right now, but this is a pretty cropped top slash vest, whatever you want to call it, with a heart cutout, which is super cute. It has pretty fancy details. It has a double folded neckline, double knit armhole edging, and then a double folded hem at the bottom as well. I should probably not pull that up too high. But yeah, these are all very fancy finishing techniques, which makes it look very polished. It also has an I-cord around the heart cutout. Now, for the yarn that I used Knit Pro Symphony Terra in the color Summer Romance, which is a hand-dyed yarn by Knit Pro. And then I used Concept by Katja Atenea, which is a wool, cotton, cashmere blend lace weight yarn. And I used this for the first time, but I think this is a great alternative for mohair if you either don't want to use mohair or can't use mohair because it's itchy to you. I would really recommend this. It is so soft, and this makes the squishiest fabric ever. It is so comfortable. I love it. It is way less itchy to me than mohair. To be fair, I'm also not too bothered by mohair, so I'm in general a very not sensitive person when it comes to wool. But yeah, this is super soft, and I do definitely recommend. It's also a little bit cheaper. Not a lot, but a little bit, so I'll take it. I used roughly 350 meters. I can actually show you. I have a little bit left over, but that was actually intentional. So I did run out of the Concept by Katja yarn, and I had to use a little bit of mohair on the inside of the double folded hem. But I did want to keep a little bit of this yarn because that is coming to my only issue with this pattern. There's wire in the I-cord around the heart to make sure it keeps its shape well, and I think I'm gonna have to redo it. I used thinner yarn than what was recommended in the pattern, so I held it double, but somehow I can't, like, I tried 3 times, I think, to, I don't know, twist it in a way that it would not poke me, but it still pokes out on the I-cord, and it's still a little bit pokey. It does work. It's mostly dangerous when I put it on. Once I'm wearing it, it's fine, but it does also sometimes poke out, and you can see the wire inside. So I did intentionally keep a little bit of yarn to try and fix it at some point. I haven't found the energy yet because it is okay, as I said, but yeah, I think this is kind of a slightly more tricky pattern. So if you're a beginner, it's possible, but it does involve a lot of difficult techniques. So it might be very challenging. Other than that, I love the pattern. It is definitely written well, so I had no issue understanding anything. It was just the execution of some things that is a little bit more tricky. As for modifications, I didn't really do much. The only small things that I changed is that I added elastic to the neckline because it was a little bit big on me. And then I also changed the decrease rate for the waist. She does tell you how to do the waist decreases, so I didn't do something completely new. I just changed the rate and how many I did. So I decided to do 8 decrease rows in total, and then I kind of tried figuring out with my row gauge how many rows I wanted it to be over, and I ended up doing 4 rows of knitting, 1 decrease round, and I did that 8 times. I think I could have decreased 1 or 2 more times because the bottom does flare out a little bit. Also, the folded hem flares out a little bit. So that might be the issue, but it's not bad enough for me to want to try and go back and fix it. Yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this piece. I think it's so cute and it's really modern. I feel like sometimes knitting can be very traditional and look very, I don't know what to call it. It just, I think it looks very classic, which in some pieces I like, but this is definitely something that looks a little bit more trendy, even though it's not on any current trends. But I still feel like this looks a little bit more young and cool and trendy, and I really like having a couple of knit pieces like this that don't make me feel like a 50-year-old grandma. I sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes I like feeling like a 50-year-old grandma, but everything has its time and its place. All right, I think I've talked enough. Just so I quickly mention it, the jacket that I'm wearing over it is the Ariadne cardigan knit in Drops Lima. I'll leave the link to my Ravelry page down below. And it's a great layering piece. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to clip this mic to the top after all to show you the next couple of things. So I hope this is gonna work. I hope you can still hear me. Now moving on to my second finished object, I have my Brat Socks. I talked about these in my last podcast. So if you are not on social media, which is unlikely because you're watching a YouTube video right now, you probably don't know about Brat Summer. About Brat Summer yet. Brat Summer is basically inspired by an album by Charlie XCX that kind of went viral and was everywhere, and the album cover is in this shade of green. It's actually a bit more neon, I would say, but I had a ball of undesignated green sock yarn in my stash, so I decided to make some fun little Brat socks in celebration of Brat Summer. And I finished knitting them just in time for the end of Brat Summer. So I just did a little graph for the Brat writing on Stitch Fiddle. I had 72 stitches for the color work. Everything else is just a standard 60 stitch sock, which is my standard sock stitch count. And then I ran out of yarn, which is good. I wanted to use up the entire ball of yarn, but I kind of ran out of yarn, so I ended up doing the toes with typical Bliss Stargirl leftovers that I also use for the color work. Not much to say about these. They fit great, just like all of my standard vanilla socks. And I think this is a really cute little detail. It was definitely fun to make them. Yeah. Let's be real. The Brat Summer trend is over. It's fall now, and the next summer will be by next summer, Brat Summer will be forgotten, and we'll have a new trend to follow. But I still think these are super cute, and they're socks. I'll wear them. I don't care if they're on trend or not. They're always warm and cozy and funny. So that's the second finished object. I wrote down notes for the podcast for the first time. I usually just yap on, but this time there are so many projects I want to talk about and I didn't want to forget anything. So I did actually have some notes. And I forgot to say something about the Heartless top. I the first time I did it, the first time I started, I actually knit the wrong size because I'm stupid and read the table wrong. She put down both the bust measurement that it's for, so your bust measurement, as well as the finished bust measurement, and I looked at the wrong one. So I ended up knitting the size 2, realized it was way too small, frogged it, and then did the size 3, and the size 3 fits like a glove. So I did have to redo a lot. I think I knit all the way, like I finished all the heart shaping. So I had also cut the yarn like a billion times, and I had to frog and undo all of that, but I'm glad I did because it would have been way too small, and now it fits great. My third and final finished project I actually can't show you because it's currently blocking over there and it's still very wet, and I can't carry it and I can't try it on. But I will insert a clip of me trying on the blocked version, and it is my second storm sweater. I knit one of these before last year and I wore it so much. It's probably my most worn hand knit sweater. So I decided to make a second version in black, which is exactly what I did. This time I used Drops Cotton Merino, and there's not much to say about the pattern. I love it. It's so fun. It's a simple knit and purl texture pattern, so it's very beginner friendly. It was the second sweater that I ever knit. It was very easy to follow. I love the boxy fit, and I knitted pretty much the exact same thing, like the exact same way. I knit the size 2XS, which is one size down from my bust measurement, but usually I'm a 2XS in the waist area and it's super oversized anyway, so I decided to go with a 2XS again because I did it the first time and I liked it. And I did knit the sleeves and the body both longer by one of the pattern sections, just because I thought it would be fun to have them be a little bit different, considering I do have the sweater twice. The first time around, I did bracelet length sleeves and they hit right about here. And this time, they're really long, cozy sleeves that hit here. And then, same for the body. The first one was a little bit cropped, which is what I usually wear. And the second one is just not cropped, kind of. And yeah, I thought it would be fun to have a little bit of variation in there. Now, there is one other issue. So I only had 8 balls of yarn when I started, and I thought it would be enough because for this first sweater I used 950 meters, and okay, I actually had less. I had 880, but I thought I might be able to make it work. But then I decided to make it longer, and I realized I would not be able to make it work, so I had to buy 2 more balls of yarn, which actually turned out to be yarn chicken anyway. I had to make the ribbing on the body a little bit shorter. So I finished the sleeves first to make sure I would have enough yarn. And then the ribbing on the body, I actually had to knit to 5 centimeters instead of 6 because I just ran out of yarn. I can show you how much I have left. This is what I have left. It's 3 grams. I could have probably gotten another row out of these together, but I wasn't going to risk it. So yeah, it's 1 centimeter shorter. I think that's fine. But the actual issue here is that the 2 balls were obviously a different dye lot. I originally bought it in January, this yarn. So 9 months later, I got a different dye lot. And in some light, you can't tell, but another light, you can definitely tell. I'll add a picture here. While I was blocking in the bathroom, that light made it so visible, and in direct sunlight, direct sunlight, you can definitely tell. So I might end up dyeing it over, but I've never done that before. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is, see if it bothers me, and then decide. But if you have dyed something before, like something hand knit before, tell me, how do I do that? Is that difficult? Also, what type of dye do I use? Because I know the drugstore sells dye, but I don't think you can use it for wool. I'm scared. Can you tell? Yeah, so if you have any experience with dyeing hand-knit pieces, I would love advice if you have any. Otherwise, it's just gonna stay like this, and I'll make it work. So those were all my finished objects. Not gonna lie, I got a lot done in the past couple of weeks. I was on vacation for 2 out of those, so that explains why I had so much time and knit so much. But I'm still super happy with everything. Now, moving on to my whips. I think I'm gonna have to clip this to my shirt again. 1 second. I also need tea. I sound so raspy. I'm so sorry. Let's keep going with the whips. The first one that I have on my pile is what I'm going to start with, and it's my Hollingbourne sock. This is the pattern Hollingbourne by Stone Knits, which you can either find in 52 Weeks of Socks or as a single pattern online. And it's this beautiful all over stranded colorwork pattern. It's the first time I knit stranded colorwork all over. I've only done small things like the Brat Socks before, and I really liked it. It was actually a lot more manageable than I anticipated. I'm gonna talk about the yarn real quick before getting into all my issues. Because as you can see, I haven't bound off yet, and there is a reason. So I used Regia 4-ply in the colorway Bordeaux, I believe. I just got it at my local yarn store. It's a deep red purpley color. And then Typical Bliss Hermit Glitter. All right, getting into my issues. Everything was perfect when I started out. My gauge was spot on. I hit the exact length that would have made it work out for my foot length, because obviously you want to finish a repeat. Everything was great. I thought like, oh my god, why was I so scared of stranded color work? It's so easy. It's so much easier than I thought. Then I took a break for 2 weeks, or actually I think more, probably for like a month. And when I started knitting it again, my tension had changed drastically. I don't know what I did, because obviously I'm using the same yarn. I was using the same needles. I'm the same person knitting. I know that from day to day your gauge can differ slightly when you're like knitting looser one day and knitting tighter the other, but like it changed significantly. So I think these two patterns are 12 centimeters and these are something like 14. I can actually, if I fold this, you can see these are both the same amount of pattern repeats. Both of these are 2 pattern repeats, and one of them ends here and the other ends here. It's so much longer. I cannot tell you what happened. I do not know. But this now means that my foot was way too long. So I had to do like ultra rapid toe decreases, because usually the toe was supposed to start here. And it also doesn't look as pretty. I do think that this issue would block out probably, but I'm just really unhappy with the toes, and I would like for it to just look the way the leg does. So my plan for this is that I will start knitting the second sock, try to match this leg gauge again, and if I do manage to knit at this gauge again, I will just finish the second sock, frog the foot of this, and then redo this. If I can't match this gauge, so the tighter gauge on the second sock, and I knit at like the foot gauge again, I might decide to go down a needle size. I don't know why that would be necessary. But yeah, I think I'm gonna need to do some troubleshooting there and see what happened. But I haven't had the energy to do that. I was just really frustrated when I cast this off, or like when I finished knitting the toes. I was just super frustrated because I didn't know what happened, and I just put it away and haven't touched it since. Again, if you have any tips, if you have any ideas what I did, do tell me, because I'm stumped. I've never had this much of a gauge difference, I think. With just a couple weeks in between, you know? So that's that. A little bit sad, but I'll get through it. I feel like my voice is starting to give out a little bit, so maybe I should talk less and be more concise. The next whip I have is this Brombeer top. I don't know why I called it that, but I've decided to call it that. It means blackberry top. Even though this color is definitely not the color of blackberries, but I like the name, so I'm sticking with it. I self-drafted this. It's just this cute, cabley, square neck tee, cami, shirt, top. Let's call it a top. And I'm knitting this out of Sandnes in the color 4335, which is called something like raspberry cream, I think. This is a gorgeous color. I love all the cables. I love cabling. Otherwise, I wouldn't have designed it to be like this. And I finally figured out the underarm shaping. I'm not going to try this on, but I'll admit it's not the best underarm shaping. I refuse to redo it if it's just a self-drafted shirt. If I do ever decide to write a pattern, I'll change it, but for now I just wanted to get it done. And I didn't want to frog anything. So this is the armhole shaping. It's not terrible, but it's not 100% great. I'm gonna have to figure out all the finishings, which is why I haven't touched it in a while, because I don't want to think about it. I have to decide how to do the neckline, how to do the armholes, how to do the body edge. Don't want to do it. It's a summer piece anyway. I'm not gonna wear this anytime soon. It's getting really cold here, so I might work on this, I might not, I'm not sure. All right, 2 more whips to talk about. So let's talk about my next major sweater whip that I have cast on and that I'm actually making a designated vlog for. So keep an eye out for that. This is the Cardigan number 8 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I'm still on the back yoke, so I haven't gotten very far yet. And I'm knitting it in this gorgeous tweedy yarn. This is PetiteKnit Pure Tweed in the color Scottish Borders Multicolor. And it's this beigey, it's almost a little bit pink tweed yarn with a bunch of multicolored specks, which is why I bought it, because of all the super colorful tiny little specks. I love that. And then I'm holding that with Jaeger Alpaca 1 in the color, I wrote it down, in the color 61, which is this muted pink color. And together these make this slightly pink, muted pinkish, beigey, tweedy fabric, which I adore. I think this is so cute because I don't like super in your face pink, but this like super light muted pink I love, so super excited. If you don't know, Cardigan number 8, it's just this huge oversized stockinette jumper, or jacket rather, and yeah, I'm hoping to wear that as an outerwear piece this fall. I've also been thinking it's a little bit sad that it doesn't have a hood, because I do love sweaters with hoods. So wouldn't it be so cute to knit a detachable hood or like these bonnet type things to wear with that? I think that would be so cute, because I don't love balaclavas, at least not the ones that are closed that you have to pull over your head. It's inconvenient. I wear glasses, so I'd always have to take them off and put them on again. I hate having to put that over your pull it over your head if you wear makeup. It messes up your hair. I just don't like that. So I've never been too interested in balaclavas, but a detachable hood, or like these things that you tie under your chin, so cute. Yes, that would be so cute with this cardigan. But I don't even have this cardigan yet. I have to knit it first. So yeah, super fun. I did notice that my gauge, once again, has gotten a little bit looser to the bottom here, but I don't think it's that bad. And I'm actually perfectly on gauge, so I'm just gonna keep going, I think. I don't have anything else to say about this, so this is my current main whip, and I think it'll knit up super quick. It is on 5.5mm needles, and I can't wait to have it so I can wear it before it gets too cold to wear this as a jacket. This means we're on the final whip, which I actually very spontaneously cast on yesterday. I finally got the urge to knit this legit at 7 a.m. in the morning before I left for work. So I just grabbed my things and stuffed them in my bag so I could cast it on my way to work. And that's what I did. I cast it on the bus. Now, my commute is not very long, but this project is also very small, so it's perfect. And I highly recommend it if you do commute. And it's the Rybka pouch. I'm guessing most of you will have seen this by now because it's kind of gone viral on Instagram, and I've also seen it a lot on YouTube. But this is the Rybka pouch by a designer whose name I will butcher, so I'll just put it here instead. And it's this super cute fish-shaped pouch. I knit one of these yesterday, and then I knit the second one today. And all I have left to do is assemble everything and knit it together and make the I-cord. But look at this. It's so cute. I made this one for my lipstick, hopefully. I'm gonna have to see if it fits, because I don't think I took the measurements too well. But I want to make one for my lipstick or like lip balm, and one for my AirPods at least. So this is gonna be one of those. And then I do have yarn that I don't have here, but I do have yarn planned. So I'm gonna use the leftovers from this. I have a little bit of the Symphony Terra that I used for the Heartless top leftover. And it should be the exact amount that I'm gonna need for another fishy in this size. So I'm super excited to make that. And I love it. I'm probably gonna cast that on tomorrow on my way to work again. They're just so quick and so fun and so cute. I want to make 100 of them. I used just some leftover mohair scraps. I did run out of the pink, so I used white for this part, switched to a pink one, and then here I ran out and had to do the last couple of rows with the white mohair again. But I really don't mind. It's such a scrappy project. I don't think anyone will care. So yeah, that's my Rybka pouch. One day, maybe, probably, maybe by tomorrow, I hope. Now, those were all my knits, which was a lot, but we're not done yet. I actually have a bunch of acquisitions to talk about. I don't know what happened in the past month, but I got a bunch of things, and we're going to talk about it. So first of all, obviously, I got this mic, and I also got a light, which you can't see, but I hope you'll be able to notice, or rather, I just hope my videos look better if I have a light. I thought we're going into the darker season. It's starting to get dark at like 7 p.m., so I needed a light. That was the first part. Very uninteresting to you. Very fun and interesting for me. The second part is probably a little bit more interesting to you. I know I said I wouldn't buy yarn in my last video about all my fall knitting plans, but things change. Drops has sales, and I buy yarn. I do, however, have a good excuse, at least for some of it. Not for this first part, though. I bought 6 balls of Drops brushed alpaca silk. This is the part, again, that I don't have a good excuse for. I've just been wanting to try this yarn for ages, especially because mohair is expensive and cheap mohair is itchy. So while I do like expensive mohairs, they're too expensive to use them often. So I wanted to try a cheap, fluffy alternative that is not cheap mohair because that's too itchy for me to wear. Am I making sense? Anyway, so because this is really cheap, they had the alpaca party sale that they have pretty often, I would say. And everything was 30 pesos a hand off. So this was €2.15. That's like nothing for a fluffy yarn, you know? Compared to mohair, that's nothing. And so I got 6 different colors to just make a very colorful, fun little cardigan. And then I did also make a little swatch just for fun. And I don't know what happened, but I decided to do the swatch on 3mm needles. Now, I was kind of planning to make this cardigan a little bit looser knit on bigger needles, but now that I've gauge swatched on 3mm, I really like this fabric. It's super thick and fluffy, and it looks so cool. So yeah, maybe this is gonna be a super long-term whip where I make a cardigan out of like on 3mm needles, or I will come to my senses and actually knit this up on a bigger needle. It actually recommends 5mm, so I don't know why I used 3, but I just wanted to see how this would look knit up on such small needles because it does have 140 meters per 25 grams, so it's almost a lace weight. Maybe it even counts as a lace weight. It's something between a fingering and a lace, which obviously doesn't always count for fluffy yarns. You usually knit them up at on a bigger needle, but I still wanted to try it, and now I love the fabric. So to be announced what this will become and how it will become that. But yeah, I love these colors. They're just so fun and bright and, well, not bright, but like colorful. So that's that. For the second acquisition, I have a better excuse. It's 11 balls of this drops Lima in the color Red Brick or Brick Red. I'm not sure, but it's color 9021. And my excuse for this is that last year, or actually in February of this year, I made my sister a sweater. And then I promised to make my brother a sweater too, because it felt unfair to not make him a sweater. So I told him I would make him that in the winter because it was already starting to warm up. It was spring. So I promised to make him one this fall winter season, and that's what this is for. I let him choose the pattern, and I also let him choose the yarn, just because if I'm making something that labor intensive, I don't like to make it a surprise. In the end, if they don't like it, it'll suck for the both of us. So I decided to just ask him what he wants. So it'll be exactly what he will wear. Did I say what pattern he chose? He chose the Hanstorm sweater by PetiteKnit. Stockinette, not my favorite. I reckon it'll be pretty boring. I almost never knit just stockinette projects, especially not in the round. A stockinette cardigan is fine because you still have the purling. Just stockinette in the round is horror for me, but I'll get through it for my brother. I just put on a good show that's interesting, that'll distract me, and we'll get through it together. So that's that. I will probably cast this on when I finish my cardigan. His birthday's in November. While this is not his dedicated birthday present, I do think it would be fun to have it done by then. If I can't make it till then, I will get it finished in time for Christmas, hopefully. Again, not his dedicated Christmas or birthday present, but it would be just a fun time, and I don't see him that much, so those times I'll probably see him and we'll be able to give it to him. That's that. I have one last yarn acquisition and then a couple of others still, actually. Let's finish the yarn up first. So my mom came to visit about a week ago, a little over a week ago on the weekend, and we went to a local yarn store together. I've actually been in there before, but it was only ever on the first floor because I didn't know that they had a second floor. And then when my mom was here, we actually went up to the second floor for the first time, and they have so much yarn there. They have this store kind of has everything, so I thought that the small selection was all they had for yarn, but they had so much, and I fell in love with this. First of all, it's a beautiful color. That's what drew my eye. But then I touched it and I knew I had to get it, even though I wasn't planning on buying anything. It is so soft. This is the Rowan alpaca color made out of 100% baby alpaca yarn. And guys, this is the softest yarn I have ever felt. It is so soft. I cannot explain it. It is so soft, so squishy. I absolutely love this. I actually checked online and apparently this yarn is discontinued. So honestly, I don't know how long it's been in that local yarn store. I do feel like local yarn stores sometimes have yarns that have been lying there for like years, which can be really fun to find silly little things like this. And yeah, I'm super excited to use it. It is 50 grams and I think 115 meters, I want to say. So it's not a whole lot, but I'm planning on making a Zofia scarf out of it. I've never made one before. I did consider making a free similar pattern, but I think I'm probably going to get the original because apparently I'm a Markenhure, which is probably a word you're not allowed to use on YouTube, but it's basically a brand whore, which is another word you're probably not allowed to use on YouTube. Basically, it's just a person who only buys branded things just for the brand name, and sadly, I'm a little bit that. And apparently, I'm also that with the knitting now because I care about it being the real original PetiteKnit Zofia scarf instead of a free pattern. In my defense, one of the reasons I do want to knit the Zofia scarf is that for some reason it has way lower yardage listed, so that I should be able to make at least the small size out of this. My plan is kind of to just knit till I have half of it knit up and then start decreasing and kind of adjust the pattern. Worst case, I can go back to the local yarn store. They had more than this one skein, and I can just buy a second one, but I feel like if I got a second one, I would have a bunch left over. So the plan is to just use this as best as I can and use it up fully for one tiny scarf finally. I'm so excited to just have a nice little mini scarf for the fall. Speaking of knitting up half and then starting to decrease, how would I measure? I don't have a scale. Or do I? Okay, that was so bad. I'm so sorry. I've been thinking about buying a kitchen scale for the sole purpose of knitting for a year, and I never did it, but I caved. I will admit that the idea with the Zofia scarf was the tipping point, der Tropfen, der das Fass zum Überlaufen gebracht hat, the straw that broke the camel's back, and I finally got one. I just kind of got the cheapest one off of Amazon. Yeah, before this, I've never owned a kitchen scale, but I do now. That's a silly little acquisition, but it's yarn related, so I thought I'd mention it real quick. And finally, getting to my last acquisition, I bought the panty cardigan pattern. I saw this on Instagram, went feral, and bought it. I've been looking at different brioche stitch cardigans for months, but I never had one that I liked enough to knit it because it's so labor intensive and also pretty expensive because it uses up a lot of yarn. So I was never convinced enough. And then I saw this and I knew I needed it. So I bought it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Do I think it's silly that Sandnes only sells booklets and not PDF patterns? Yes. Am I probably going to scan this so that I can take it with me on the go and knit outside? Probably. But hey, I had to pay shipping for this booklet because why make a PDF? It's okay. At least I own it now. It's so cute. Yeah, if you I didn't even explain what it was. If you haven't seen the penny cardigan, it is a huge oversized brioche stitch cardigan by Sandnes Garn. It has huge, and I mean huge sleeves, and I love them. It is suggested to be knit with Sandnes Garn Tin Peregrine and Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair, obviously, because it's a Sandnes pattern. I don't have yarn for this yet, but I do hope I'll be able to knit this for the spring. I reckon it's going to take forever, and I do have a couple of other sweater projects left that I want to do first. But once I'm done with those, once I'm done with the sweater projects that I have yarn for already, this will be my next cast on. It is so cool. Do leave color suggestions in the comments. I've thought about a dark green. I don't think this olivey tone would suit me. So I've thought about a deep green. I've thought about a Bordeaux red color. I don't really like blues because I wear a lot of blue jeans and I don't like blue jackets on blue jeans. I think a bright red would also be fun, but maybe a little bit too statement. I'm indecisive. If you have any color suggestions, let me know. Also, have you heard of this? Do you like it? Do you want to make it? Let me know. Yeah, wow, that took a long time to film. I also decided that I'm gonna add this little media segment at the end. Feel free to click off if you're only interested in yarn type things. I'm done with all the yarn talk now, but I've seen other people do a little media section at the end of their podcast, and I think it's fun, so I'm gonna do this too. To me, media and knitting are deeply intertwined because I cannot knit unless I'm doing something else on the side. Lately, I've been rewatching Scrubs, an oldie but a goodie, great fun little sitcom. Makes me scared about becoming a doctor, but still fun. Next one is I watched A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Didn't love it, but it was okay. There were a couple too many bad plot devices, in my opinion. Spoiler if you haven't watched it yet, but she just got told facts one too many times. Like, instead of discovering things on her own, a random person would be like, oh, by the way, do you know this story? And that would be her next big clue. And that just happened one too many times. So, yeah. Okay, but kind of mid. Also, note I did not read the book, so I don't know how it relates to the book. Oh my, I need to stop talking. I wanted to talk about books as well, but my voice is absolutely giving up on me right now. So I think I'm going to end the video here. If you watched till here, thank you so much for spending time with me. Let me know in the comments what you're working on right now and what you're excited to work on for the fall, because fall has officially started. It's in full swing. It's really cold where I live. It's very rainy. All the leaves are starting to fall, and it's the best time to knit. So yeah, let me know what you're working on in the comments, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!